What's up with everybody? It's your man Mario B.
And Nicole.
And we're back at it with some more reaction videos, baby. So yeah, man, we're checking out some more Master Man. This is a special video request from
Matthew Man.
He's
been at it
yeah. Stay supporting our channel. We thank you so much. We definitely appreciate you. The name of this video is The Origins of the History of the Jewish People and Other Ethno-Religious Groups. So I'm guessing it's gonna be other ethno-religious groups. When I think of ethno, I'm thinking more like people who like to stay like segregated. They don't want to like, certain groups.
I was looking at it as like Jewish people are ethno-religious because it's a religion and an ethnicity. So I'm thinking of that. So like, what other like religions are tied pretty tightly to your like ethnic culture?
Remember that one reaction, that one video from Master Man? It was that one group. They was like ethno, and they ain't want nobody. If you born into that,
right. So more like that.
Yeah, it's like that. So nobody else can come in. You gotta be born into it.
Like
so that's what I'm looking at it as. But yeah, man, we can dive right into it. And thank you, Matthew, man, for your support.
It's estimated that there are around 14 to 18 million people of Jewish origin in the world today, making them roughly 0.2% of the entire population of Earth. With such a minuscule proportion of the human population, it's pretty amazing that nearly every single old world culture has been aware of the group known as the Jewish people for the past 1,000 years or longer. Jews have inhabited regions of the planet as disparate as southern India to the Horn of Africa to the British Isles in Europe. And although most people in the world today would recognize the ethnonym Jew, not very many people know exactly what a Jew is or where they came from. In the modern-day region of the Levant, located in the Middle East, there existed a region known as Canaan, and all ethnic Jews can trace their origin to this area around 4,000 years ago, to at least some capacity. This would have made the original Jews very similar in appearance to groups such as the ancient Egyptians, Phoenicians, and Assyrians, as well as other Semitic groups. The group at first was rather weak, numbering in the tens of thousands, and sometimes perhaps even less than that. However, there was one thing that all Jews had in common besides heritage, and that was their belief in a monotheistic God that was fairly unique at the time. The Jews had a cohesion that many other groups in the region lacked, and this led to their relative levels of success, although they lacked any real colonial ambitions, and therefore never created an expansive empire. Jewish people had been spreading out to neighboring territories such as the Arabian Peninsula and the Greek and Persian empires for quite some time before the introduction of the Romans, but it wasn't until the sacking of Jerusalem in 70 AD by the Roman Empire that the Jewish people began to spread out and really started to make their mark on the world. The Romans became quite sick of the constant Jewish revolts of the province of Judea, and in order to assert their dominance and crush any spirit of independence in the Jewish people, they began a violent campaign in the region, which caused tens of thousands of Jewish people to flee to different areas of the world, including Europe, North Africa, as well as other areas of the Middle East. The many groups of Jews that were scattered throughout the world slowly formed their own independent ethnic identities, yet still fell under the larger umbrella category of Jewish. The Jews are an ethno-religious group, meaning that their ethnicity is defined in part by their religion, and although not all Jews are religious or actively practicing, there are still religious traditions and practices that are unique to the group that virtually all members follow or observe to some extent. The largest group of Jews by far headed into Europe, and this was an environment that they actively thrived and floundered in. Jews in Europe can be classified into two main groups, the largest of which being the Ashkenazi, those that live in northern and eastern Europe, and are heavily mixed with the native Europeans of the region, which is why many Ashkenazi have Slavic surnames such as those of Polish or Russian origin, or Germanic surnames of German or English origin. The other group of European Jews are the Sephardim, who live in southern European countries such as Spain, Italy, and Greece, and are mixed with the native Europeans of those countries. The appearance of the average European Jew varies from person to person, but most Ashkenazi and Sephardi have been heavily mixed with the Europeans, and today only around 20 to 30% of their DNA is that of the original Semitic Middle Eastern Jews. Many are nearly indistinguishable from the native European ethnic groups that surround them, although they do retain some distinct features such as dark curly hair, dark eyes, and occasionally a slightly darker skin color. Although largely
just
a
a few of 'em,
stereotype,
And the
Jewish
nose,
people
usually.
generally do have larger, more prominent noses
Nose, yeah.
than their northern or eastern European counterparts. However, this is comparable to other Europeans of Mediterranean origin, such as Italians
It's
or
true.
the Spanish.
Yeah.
Their phenotype varies considerably, and there are many Jews, of course, that have blonde hair and or blue eyes. The majority of Jews in the world today are of Ashkenazi origin, although the Holocaust had significantly reduced their numbers and proportion of the larger Jewish people. The next largest group of Jewish origin are the Mizrahim, who live in the greater Middle Eastern region.
Yeah, they more
The line
brown.
between Mizrahi and Sephardi is quite fuzzy at times, but generally the groups from North Africa, the Levant, the Arabian Peninsula, and Central Asia are considered to be Mizrahi. Their appearance is clearly more aligned with that of the surrounding Semitic peoples, such as Arabs or Berbers, rather than the Ashkenazi, although intermixing between these groups of Jews and Israel is becoming far more common. Many people know that the official language of the modern state of Israel is Hebrew, which is distantly related to Arabic and other Semitic languages.
Yeah.
However, even though Hebrew was the historical language of the Jewish people, it was effectively a dead language for nearly 2,000 years. From around the 3rd to 19th centuries, not a single person spoke Hebrew as a lingua franca, and it was only known by a fraction of the Jewish population for strictly religious reasons. Until Hebrew was revived, the various Jewish groups generally spoke the languages of the surrounding peoples. For instance, in Germany, Jews spoke a language known as Yiddish,
Yeah, I heard
a
of that
Germanic
language,
with
Yiddish.
many words of Hebrew origin, which was also written in the Hebrew script from right to left. Mizrahi Jews also spoke Arabic up until around the late 19th century. Some of the more exotic groups of Jews that many people might not know about are the Beta Israel people from Ethiopia and the Cochin Jews from India. The Beta Israel are heavily mixed with the native Cushitic and Habesha peoples of the Horn of Africa, and the Beta Israel contain nearly identical genetics to the Habesha ethnic groups, albeit maybe with slightly more Middle Eastern DNA. They number over 100,000 people, and today the overwhelming majority of their population lives in either Israel or the United States, with there being very few Jews still remaining in Ethiopia. The Cochin Jews live in the South Indian state of Kerala and are also heavily mixed with the native Dravidian Malayali group, and as such generally resemble other Indians in appearance. The farthest group from the traditional Jewish homeland that claim Jewish descent is the Lemba people of Sub-Saharan Africa. They number around 50,000 people and are scattered throughout various southern African countries, such as Zimbabwe and South Africa. And today, many of them practice Orthodox Judaism, although many more have converted to Christianity or Islam. Their claims of partial Jewish origin are somewhat dubious at best, with various genetic tests showing little correlation between the Lemba and ancient Jewish people. Recent studies have found that perhaps 50% of patrilineal DNA of the Lemba people might be of some Semitic origin, although the state of Israel has yet to recognize the tribe as being Jewish. One of the biggest questions surrounding the modern Jewish people is why they seem so much more intelligent than any other group of people on the planet. You might be tempted to think that it's merely a coincidence that so many historical scientific figures were of Jewish descent, but with over 25% of Nobel Prize winners and over 30% of the wealthiest 1% of people in America being Jewish, it's hard to say that there isn't a correlation. Studies have found that the average IQ for an Ashkenazi Jew in the Western world is at around 115, the highest of any group in the entire world, being a full 15% higher than that of the average white American. It's theorized that the high degree of historical endogamy for the Jewish people, as well as their constant persecution in the various countries they've inhabited, has led to the Jews becoming more intelligent, as well as establishing a tradition of support for all other people of Jewish descent. However, Jews are not the only ethno-religious group, and the majority of ethno-religious groups today live in the Middle East, and include the biblical Samaritan people who, believe it or not, are actually still around.
Didn't know
The
that.
Samaritans number less than 10,000 people and live in the territories of Israel and Palestine. They practice a religion very similar to Judaism and are genetically quite similar as well. The Parsis, or Zoroastrians, are perhaps one of the oldest ethno-religious groups still around to this day, being remnants of the ancient Persian Empire, and they still retain their ancient monotheistic religion, although they are very few in number, probably no more than 300,000 people worldwide.
Not that many.
Today they live mostly on western Indian coastal cities, such as Bombay or in Gujarat. One of the larger ethno-religious groups that exist today are the Druze people, numbering 1 to 2 million people in countries such as Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, and are a bit bemusing, seeing how it's still debatable as to whether practicing members of the Druze faith are Muslims or whether they are followers of an entirely different religion. The Druze are effectively the Mormons of the Muslim faith, with many practitioners divided as to whether or not the Druze fall under the larger umbrella of Islam. One group that is decidedly not Islamic are the Yazidi people, who, like the Zoroastrians, practice a pre-Islamic faith, and although very similar genetically and linguistically to the neighboring Kurdish people, the Yazidi have their own communities and culture, which make them a huge problem for radical Islamic terrorist groups, such as ISIS, who have recently attempted to wipe the Yazidis off the face of the earth. Thankfully, after recent defeats for the Islamic State, it appears that the bulk of the Yazidi population has been spared, although tens of thousands of Yazidis have already been killed, imprisoned, or made into slaves by the terrorists.
Horrible.
Although most ethno-religious groups are barely related, and some are actually at odds with each other, they do share many common traits, such as the need for endogamy to survive as a group, a heightened sense of community and civic duty, and a will to survive not matched by many other people groups on the planet. Even if you might not agree with their beliefs, it's important to respect them as fellow human beings. And as always, my name is Mason. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Pretty cool. I mean, you say it's like 14 million around the world right now.
Total. So that was like all the different
combined together. I say they only represent like 0.2% of the population, world population. So
which
it's really not that
isn't
many.
That much, yeah.
Yeah, it's really extremely low.
How is something with such a small percentage of the population have such a big effect on our cultural world?
Thank you for the video request.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew, man. So we're gonna check out some more Mason, man. If you want to send us a special video request, check out the links to our stream live. It's gonna be in our description, and it's gonna be in our video cards, and also provide a link and keep the videos under 12 minutes.
And if you want to support our channel, come be a part of the merch fam. The link will also be down in the description and our video cards.
Don't forget to subscribe
and thumbs it up.
Turn on notifications. It's your man, Morty B.
And Nicole.
We're gonna catch you on the next video. Awesome. Peace and love, baby.